Hello everybody, my name is Blake Sebastian and I'm here to share my story about transition from female to male. So basically when I started transitioning, I had long hair and I was wearing makeup and I looked like this. And soon after, it was a month after starting hormones that I cut my hair and I stopped wearing makeup completely. And before I knew it, a few months later, I started to pass. Now, for 22 years of my life, I lived as femme, and the reason is ever since I can remember, ever since I was 4, I remember feeling like a little boy. I was very masculine, but I wasn't allowed to be masculine, especially in my household. It's Latin culture, and especially like the country where I'm from, Colombia, is beauty pageant culture. Women are supposed to be super feminine and spicy and all that. As I grew older, I learned to socialize, and I remember observing other girls when I was like in grade 8, 9, and I started to realize, oh, like I don't walk like that, I don't sit like that, I don't talk like that, and I learned to act really feminine in my middle school years, and then by the time I was in high school, I had mastered the art of being very femme, and even throughout college I was very feminine. And I started taking hormones at the age of 21, almost 22, so it has been a year and a half. What I am getting to is that the social change for me was a huge shock, because every single trans man that I have met, they went through a long phase of what you would call the butch phase, if I can name it that, but you know, a phase where somebody is really masculine and a phase where somebody is perceived as a butch lesbian, which, you know, I hate the way that we have to put people into boxes. But everybody that I have met, you know, they went through a period of even like at least 6 months to many, many years living as what would be perceived as a masculine female. So for me, the way that I describe it is like culture shock. So if you could name it like gender shock. So basically, someone who is really feminine and someone who's female gets perceived and gets treated by society differently than, quote, a masculine woman, and gets treated differently from a man. Well, something like as simple as like when I go to work, like this is actually kind of funny. Like before, if I was at a workplace or a college and there was a really cool girl that I wanted to hang out with, I would say, hey, like, let's hang out like after work, or let's hang out after school. And people would be like, okay, yeah. And then women would think like, oh, we're just gonna go shopping, we're gonna go to coffee, and it wouldn't be a big deal. But now if I'm at a new workplace and it's been like 3 weeks or a month, and then I go up to like cool female coworkers and I say, hey, you know, let's go out for coffee, or let's like hang out after work, they're gonna be like, you're asking me out? You know, like it just doesn't come across the same way. Unless I get perceived as a gay guy, which happens sometimes. Like if a woman reads me as a gay guy, then that's fine. And in a way, that's more of a familiar interaction, because it takes away the threat that I might ask them out and I'm gonna try to like make a move. And when women perceive me as a gay man, that interaction to me is a lot more familiar, because in a weird way, I get treated like a girl, because women think, oh, if this is a gay guy, then we're gonna go out shopping, or we're gonna like talk about like boys or whatever. But then people find out that I don't necessarily like identify that way, but if they interact with me first thinking that, then they're already interacting with me in a certain way. And it's really strange the way that people will see you, and people will make whatever perception of you and treat you based on that, whether you're male, whether you're female, whether you're butch, whether you're a feminine man. And also growing up, most of my friends were always women. Like elementary school, middle school, high school, I've had very, very few male friends. I've had like one close male friend ever that I would consider a best friend. All my best friends growing up were always women. And it's not necessarily that I looked for that kind of friendship, it's because I was femme, I was, quote, pretty, and then women would say, oh, she's one of us. And I would just be invited into those spaces. I would be invited into those group of friends. Realistically, it's just not something that happens naturally. I have built some female friendships, but it doesn't happen at the same rate, or it doesn't happen the same way that it happened before. And also because I was straight passing, you know, I was closeted for most of the time, like first I came out as a lesbian, which was not the right label for many reasons. Facebook message. So first I came out as a lesbian for like not that long before like I came out as trans, even though I knew that I was trans like ever since I can remember, like when I was 4, because I was closeted in multiple ways than all my friends during most of my all of my childhood, teenage years, and a chunk of my adulthood. I was just a straight female to them, and my interactions with men and women and everybody were so different. I have to accept that even though sometimes I miss some of the connections that I had before, my place in society is different. Need some water. So yeah, now I'm finding that when it comes to the friendships that I had before, if I'm still friends with people that I was friends with before, those friendships haven't really changed. But when it comes to new friendships, that's when it gets tricky. It's really interesting how people will look at you, make a perception, and treat you a certain way. And like one really funny thing that I kind of think back to is that I live in Vancouver, and I guess in most cities drivers aren't usually like the best, and sometimes like if I was like living as a straight passing female and I would, you know, cross the road and somebody almost hit me, I would make an expression kind of going like this, like whoa, like you almost run me over, and people would say like, oh my god, like I'm so sorry, like almost like they're thinking I almost hit that girl, like I feel so bad. But now if I'm walking by the crosswalk and there happens to be a car or a cab or whatever and they almost hit me, I'll do the same thing that I've always done, which is like WTF, like watch where you're driving. And the reaction, it'll be like people are gonna be like, oh you, what off. One time this guy, he kept driving, he kept looking back at me and like staring at me, because it doesn't come across the same way as like this cute girl going like, hey, like you almost run me over, versus me, especially if I'm like wearing a hoodie and I look like this teenager like straight out of high school. Then it's almost like, who the hell does he think he is to like make that sort of expression, right? But even something like walking down the sidewalk, it's really funny because before I used to not think about it. If I happened to walk past a woman, like nothing happened, right? It was no big deal. I was just used to walking how I had walked for like 20-something years. And now, early in transition, I didn't quite realize it, but then I realized that it was a thing. And now, if I walk past a woman in the same way that I used to before, then I'll get the sort of like almost like I'm a threat, you know, I'll get the double look. Or if I happen to be walking behind someone at that awkward stage where people are walking at like the same speed, then it'll be like, oh, like is he following me? Which I completely understand how women would react to that, because I remember that I used to worry about, oh, if somebody's following me, or there's this dude is walking really close to me, like it's a safety thing, and that would make me feel unsafe. And now I'm aware that when I share a space in public, it's like, at first I wasn't thinking about it. If I'm gonna walk past this person at maybe like a similar rate, it's like if I happen to be a girl, then it wasn't a big deal. So now I'm more aware of the space that women need to feel safe. And the last thing that I want to do is like scare anybody, right? So it's those little things. I mean, well, this is a whole nother topic, but you know, most sexual assaults out there, like over 90%, are men committing them against women. So there's a reason why, you know, women feel unsafe, and I feel that because I lived that for nearly 22 years. And another thing that I want to talk about is male privilege, and any trans person can relate to male privilege, whether it's a trans man gaining male privilege or a trans woman losing male privilege. So the sort of thing that I don't have to deal with anymore is, I don't recall ever having a straight male friend that didn't at some point try to sleep with me, or didn't at some point try to like bring up the idea or of, hey, we could sleep together. Partly probably the reason why I just stayed away from it, and probably why I stuck with just my female friendships. It was a comfort level. Going out to partying you know, if you're drinking, if you're a female, you have to worry more, you know, like you gotta get home safe, you know, you gotta watch your drink, or if you're walking alone at night. And now I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about, you know, walking home at 1 or 2 a.m. Like it doesn't matter. And also what used to happen at a lot of workplaces, or even just like a college scenario, is the harassment, you know? Like I would have like people like at college, just like men, you know, like trying to do things, make moves, try to kiss me. Or when it came to a work environment, I definitely had like older creepy men in professional work environments, like trying to hit on me, or just in a way like harassing or like texting me nonstop over the weekend when I wasn't getting back. And this one other time I had a male, I guess, colleague. I was an intern there at the time, and he was like hitting on me, and he tried to hire me like 3 or 4 times after the fact, mostly because he wanted to work with me, because he had a crush on me, and because he thought I was cute. And now, like, that doesn't happen, you know. I don't have to worry about some older guy at work being creepy, or I don't have to worry about some dude like harassing me. I don't deal with any of that, and that's the sort of male privilege that is like, wow, I don't have to deal with a lot of bullshit. Yeah, I'm so happy that I started transitioning. Like, I barely ever feel dysphoria anymore. I'm comfortable with myself physically a lot more than I was before. Like 24/7, I don't feel like everything is off. Because before, it was just a 24/7 feeling, like every time somebody said she, every time somebody like said my name, or just the way that I presented myself, it really made me uncomfortable, and I don't feel that discomfort anymore. For me, the social change was something that I knew of a little bit, but I wasn't expecting to the extent that it was, especially because I transitioned in such a drastic way. But now it's been a year and a half, and I'm pretty much almost used to it now, and I've come to accept my new place, or actually rather, I'm currently accepting my new place in society, and the way that my interactions are different, and the way that people react to me, because we all have our subconscious ways of treating people based on the first available information, which it's really interesting. And yeah, I'm sharing this because maybe more people out there can relate. You know, I have gotten some lovely messages on different things from trans supporters on Facebook and Instagram, but I have gotten a couple of people in like the last 6 months say, hey, I found that the social transition was really hard, and somebody in particularly said, I feel like the social transition was actually harder than the physical transition because I myself was also not expecting it. So it's not the sort of experience that everybody has to that same extent, and that the way that it is so drastic. But at the same time, you know, it's a lot of learning, and I find that I have like this sort of like secret knowledge about human behavior, and this kind of thing that I notice all the time, and other interactions, even with myself and somebody else, or if it's 2 other people completely, I know and I notice the interactions between male and female, and the way that people talk. And I don't know, in a way, I guess this is me sharing it, but also at the same time, this is a little bit of venting, because I know that I'm not the only one out there. I know that it's definitely rare to have this experience at the same extent. So yeah, let me know if you have a similar experience, or if you have any questions, and you can follow me on Facebook or on Instagram. I'm actually quite active on there, so there's my handle. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope to put up more videos in the future. I want this to be a constant thing, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.